For years, many older adults were told to be careful with eggs. One egg for breakfast was acceptable. Two might raise eyebrows. But 4 eggs a day? For a long time, that sounded excessive to many people, especially after decades of hearing warnings about cholesterol and heart health. And yet, more recently, nutrition experts have started taking another look at one of the simplest foods in the kitchen, because when researchers began studying aging, muscle loss, memory changes, energy levels, and nutrient deficiencies more closely, something interesting appeared again and again. Eggs kept showing up as one of the foods that quietly supported several areas older adults often struggle with after 60. That does not mean eggs are a miracle food, and it does not mean everyone should suddenly change their routine overnight. But it does raise an important question. What actually happens when an older adult begins eating 4 eggs a day consistently? The answer may surprise more people than expected. To understand why this conversation has changed so much, it helps to look back for a moment. In the 1970s and 1980s, dietary cholesterol became one of the biggest fears in nutrition. Egg yolks were often blamed for raising cholesterol levels and increasing heart risks. Many people removed them from breakfast entirely. Some switched to egg whites. Others stopped eating eggs almost completely. For decades, that advice spread everywhere. But over time, researchers began noticing that the story was more complicated than it first appeared. For many adults, the cholesterol found in food does not affect the body in the dramatic way scientists once believed. In fact, the liver itself produces cholesterol naturally every single day, and for many people, the body adjusts its own production based on what is eaten. That does not mean cholesterol no longer matters. It does. But many experts now believe the overall diet pattern matters much more than one individual food. And that shift has caused many older adults to wonder whether they spent years avoiding a food their body may actually have benefited from. Because after the age of 50, and especially after 60, the body begins changing in ways many people do not fully notice at first. One of the biggest changes involves muscle. Aging adults naturally begin losing muscle mass over time. Sometimes it happens slowly enough that it is almost invisible in the beginning. Standing up becomes slightly harder. Carrying groceries feels heavier than before. Walking long distances takes more effort. Balance becomes less stable. Recovery after physical activity becomes slower. Many people assume this is simply part of getting older, but nutrition plays a much larger role than most people realize. Protein becomes especially important later in life because aging muscles respond less efficiently to smaller amounts of protein than they once did. In younger years, the body can rebuild muscle more easily. But after 60, the body often needs a stronger nutritional signal to support muscle repair and maintenance. And this is one reason eggs attract so much attention. Eggs contain high-quality protein along with an amino acid called leucine. Researchers often describe leucine as one of the key triggers involved in muscle protein synthesis. In simple terms, it helps signal the body to repair and maintain muscle tissue. 4 eggs provide a meaningful amount of this nutrient, especially when eaten earlier in the day. That matters because many older adults accidentally eat very little protein at breakfast. Some have only toast, cereal, coffee, or fruit in the morning. The body then goes many hours without enough building material for muscle support. A breakfast centered around eggs may help change that pattern. And sometimes, small daily habits create larger effects over time than people expect. But muscle is only part of the story. Another reason eggs continue drawing attention involves the brain. Egg yolks contain a nutrient called choline. Many people have never heard much about it, yet the body relies on it in several important ways. Choline helps support the production of acetylcholine, a chemical messenger connected to memory, learning, and focus. As people age, maintaining cognitive sharpness becomes a growing priority. Many older adults notice occasional forgetfulness, slower recall, or moments where concentration feels different than before. That can happen for many reasons, including sleep, stress, inactivity, medications, and normal aging itself. But nutrition may also play a supporting role. Several studies have suggested that many adults do not consume enough choline regularly. Eggs happen to be one of the richest natural food sources available, and unlike many complicated supplements with long ingredient lists, eggs provide this nutrient in a simple and familiar form. Some researchers believe that consistently getting enough choline over time may help support healthier brain function as people grow older. Again, that does not mean eggs suddenly solve memory concerns, but it does help explain why nutrition experts continue paying close attention to them. Then, there are the eyes. Vision changes are one of the most common frustrations people experience later in life. Reading becomes harder. Glare from headlights feels stronger at night. Colors sometimes appear less vibrant. Eye fatigue becomes more noticeable. Inside egg yolks are two compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin. These antioxidants naturally collect in the retina, especially in the area responsible for central vision. Researchers believe these nutrients may help support long-term eye health and protection against age-related vision decline. What surprises many people is how well the body absorbs these compounds from eggs. In some cases, absorption may actually be better than from certain vegetables because the healthy fats in egg yolks help the body use these nutrients more efficiently. It is one of those small nutritional details most people never hear about, and the list continues. Eggs also naturally contain vitamin D, a nutrient many older adults quietly run low on. Vitamin D supports several important systems in the body, including bones, muscles, and immune function. As people age, vitamin D levels can become harder to maintain, especially for those who spend less time outdoors or live in colder climates during parts of the year. Eggs alone are usually not enough to fully correct low vitamin D levels, but they can still contribute to overall intake. Then there is vitamin B12. This nutrient becomes increasingly important with age because the stomach often becomes less efficient at absorbing it from food over time. Low B12 levels may contribute to fatigue, weakness, low energy, numbness, or mental fog in some individuals. Many older adults do not realize this change is happening gradually. Eggs provide B12 in a natural form that can help support daily intake alongside other healthy foods. They also contain selenium and iodine, nutrients involved in thyroid function and overall metabolism. When nutritionists look at the complete package together, it becomes easier to understand why eggs are often described as one of the most nutrient-dense foods available for their size. Still, balance matters. 4 eggs a day may work well for some people, while others may need a different approach depending on their health history, medications, or dietary needs. There are also individuals sometimes referred to as hyperresponders. These are people whose cholesterol levels may rise more noticeably when dietary cholesterol intake increases. That is one reason it is always wise to pay attention to how your own body responds, rather than assuming one recommendation fits everybody. People with existing heart concerns, kidney conditions, or certain medical restrictions should speak with a healthcare professional before making major dietary changes. And preparation matters more than many people think. A gently cooked egg is very different from eggs regularly fried in heavily processed oils, alongside highly processed meats and refined foods. The surrounding diet still matters. Eggs eaten with vegetables, whole foods, healthy fats, and balanced meals create a very different picture than eggs combined with a highly processed eating pattern day after day. Context matters in nutrition almost everywhere. But perhaps the biggest surprise is this. For years, eggs were treated by many people almost like a food to fear. Yet today, many researchers and nutrition experts are beginning to see them differently, especially for older adults trying to support strength, energy, focus, and overall nutrition in a simple way. Sometimes the foods that help the most are not trendy or expensive. Sometimes they are the foods that have quietly existed in kitchens all along. And for many older adults, eggs may be one of those foods worth looking at again with fresh eyes. Before changing your daily routine, it is always a good idea to have a quick conversation with a healthcare professional who understands your personal situation. But for many people, the humble egg may deserve far more credit than it received for the past several decades.